Okay, so the International Criminal Court, the lead prosecutor, the chief prosecutor for the International Criminal Court, is applying to the International Criminal Court for arrest warrants against Netanyahu and the defense minister, Gallant, I forgot his first name, and also against some Hamas members, leadership, like Sinwar and Hania. The application for arrest warrants against Hamas is not as serious, and it's not going to be taken as seriously, or it doesn't have the same implications or ramifications as an arrest warrant against Netanyahu. Officially, if the arrest warrant is issued by the ICC, which it will be, Netanyahu can't go to any country that's a signatory to the Rome statutes, which is all of Europe. He could still go to America, because America is not a signatory to the ICC. Israel's not a signatory to the ICC. Hamas, anyway, isn't a state, but Palestine is a signatory. So officially, Netanyahu won't really be able to travel unless he goes, like if he goes to the UK or he goes to France or he goes to anywhere in Europe and they don't arrest him, then that's those countries saying that we don't take the ICC seriously at all. But the ICC, I think, they issued an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin. And Putin has traveled a little bit since then, but not much. I don't know where he's gone exactly. He's gone to China. He's gone to the UAE. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. But they're not signatories to the ICC. He couldn't go to South Africa for the BRICS meeting because South Africa is a signatory. So they would be obliged to arrest him. And they're not in a position to ignore it. Because and now, countries have to take it more seriously. Even France actually said that they support this. France actually came out and had a statement supporting this, seeking the, arrest warrant against Netanyahu, because it's just so obvious to everyone what they're doing. And one of the important points that they used, what's his name? Karim Khan, who's the lead prosecutor. One of the evidences is their own statements. One of the evidences against them is their own statements. Because they really thought, they have been so sure of their impunity and how America will just protect them and provide cover for them, provide cover fire for them, that they can say all the lunatic, crazy things that they want to say. But turns out they can't. And, so this is going to happen. So then there's a question about what that means for Netanyahu even continuing to remain in office when he's under an arrest warrant. It proves, that America is complicit, that the United States is complicit, and all this time that they've been vetoing ceasefires and providing, again, cover for Israel at the United Nations, they have been providing cover for war crimes against humanity, like forced starvation, deliberate targeting of civilian infrastructure, making it impossible for human life in Gaza. That's not open to question that they have been doing that. They're saying they've done it and they need to be arrested for it. That's very different than the ICJ saying, let's talk about this and see whether or not they're committing genocide. The ICC is saying they've done this and they need to be arrested. So it will, in a relatively short matter of time, inshallah, Netanyahu is going to be facing arrest if he leaves Israel, if he goes almost anywhere that he would like to go. If he goes to any of their sponsors, any of Israel's sponsor countries, he'll be arrested. He must be arrested unless those countries are willing to break their obligation to the Rome statutes. And just basically you're going to have to call for the disbanding of the International Criminal Court.
You might just pack and declare infirmity and go to Florida instead of any place.
I mean, it's too late now. Like I said, I've been saying that he's going to try to get immunity. It's too late now. Now they've done it. You had your chance. This is what people need to understand, and politicians need to understand. America had a chance, and I've talked about this in one of my recent videos. You had a limited window of opportunity to disavow Israel, to disassociate yourself from Israel. Now it's too late. You didn't do it. And now the consequences are going to come down on your head as a country and as a government. The Biden administration is going to come down on your head and on all those politicians. All of those politicians are now, what are you going to say now? The guy that you've been supporting, standing shoulder to shoulder with and saying that they need to, like even with Biden, saying that he was going to pause with sending Israel weapons, and then the Republicans were going to impeach him for refusing to send more weapons, to a war criminal, to someone who is now facing arrest as a war criminal. Do you still think he should be armed? You still support that? You know? And you've been supporting it all this time, and all that time that you've been supporting it, from that period of time is where the evidence has been drawn that he's a war criminal. With your support, with your backing, with your cover, with your defense, with you covering for him at the United Nations, you vetoing ceasefires to make sure that he could continue committing war crimes. Again, like I said, it's too late now. Netanyahu had an opportunity. Just talking realpolitik, just mercenary politicking. You had the opportunity to negotiate a deal that would allow you to leave office somewhat gracefully and not face prosecution for war crimes.
Missed that.
You missed that opportunity. It's too late now. Now you're going to be arrested. This can't be undone. It doesn't even matter now. If you leave office, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're still under arrest. The arrest warrant is still there. It's not just you're only going to be under arrest as long as you remain prime minister. You will be under arrest forever until you are arrested. Nothing could be clearer now than the fact that these people who the United States has been covering for at the United Nations, and because of American coverage of these people at the United Nations, they've been allowed to commit the war crimes that they're now being sought for arrest over those crimes. Those same people, that same government, that same country is being indicted in the ICJ for genocide, and the leader of that country and the top officials of that country, and it will expand because once the arrest warrant is issued against Netanyahu and against Gallant, that's going to expand. There's going to be everybody in that administration is going to go down, and then it's going to expand to the Biden administration. It's going to expand to all of those people who have covered for them and have sponsored them and have been complicit in what they're doing and have protected them all this time. What are you going to say? What can you say now? You know, you don't belong at the UN. Khalas, you don't belong there. Because of you, this war criminal has been allowed to keep doing what he's been doing for 7 months. Because of you. For no other reason than because of you. Every ceasefire that you vetoed, you should be hauled before the International Criminal Court for every time for every weapon that you sent, for every dollar that you sent, and for every time that you vetoed a ceasefire, you should be brought before the ICC. Now, as for Hamas, they're obviously very unlikely to cooperate. They're not going to hand over Ismail Haniyeh or Yahya Sinwar. But eventually they'll have to. And I think that again, what I've been saying all along, I think that nobody wants Hamas around. The people who matter, the decision makers, and that at this point, again, isn't the United States, it's BRICS.
Yeah.
And the BRICS and the Global South as represented by BRICS, which includes, again, the Arab countries in the Gulf, especially, obviously, the BRICS members, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. They don't want Hamas. So they need to go after the leadership of Hamas. Not that I'm saying that they didn't decide who was going to be in the ICC indictment or arrest warrant, obviously. But I think that there's an understanding, most likely there's an understanding that they're a stumbling block to the plans in the region. Hamas has to go. The political leadership of Hamas has to go. It's strange that you would put an arrest warrant for Haniyeh, because he actually has very little to do with anything. It certainly has very little to do with anything that happened on October 7th.
Yeah,
I would be, yeah, he's been outside. I would be surprised if he even knew about it in advance. He probably knew about it when the rest of us did, I would guess. But they're making a charge against them for, like rape, sexual violence, and things like this.
Based on what happened on 7th of October?
Yeah. And potentially the treatment of hostages. Now, we all say that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We don't know what evidence they have. I don't know what evidence they have. I can't just completely dismiss the possibility that some rogue actions took place, and that also is more believable to me or plausible to me in that my personal belief is that October 7th was carried out by some very special unit of people who are not necessarily actually even Hamas.
Yeah. Or not on a...
No, I believe that there were mercenaries involved in that from outside. I firmly believe that there were mercenaries from outside involved in October 7th because Hamas did not and has never demonstrated the capability of pulling off an operation like October 7th. And they don't even have the training or the experience to do something like that. And even the way they have been operating in Gaza, in confronting the Israeli ground forces, they don't have experience in that. They don't have experience in combat. They don't. The Hamas has no experience in combat. From when?
So the question
From 10 years ago?
Yeah, the question is like, there's no opportunity for you to present, for the evidence to be presented.
And of course you will. Yeah, of course. Of course. There will be a trial. Yeah, there will be a trial. So, I mean, you could say that this is an opportunity for them to clear their name. Yeah, they could potentially they could clear their name through this trial. But if there is irrefutable evidence, then we all have to face that fact that some things happened. But I don't know. I'm not sure how Ismail Haniyeh would be accountable or responsible for that in any way. It's not like Netanyahu, who has himself made statements that are indicative of genocide and a belief in genocide and an intention to commit genocide and an intention to commit war crimes. There's nothing from the mouths of any of the members of Hamas, certainly the ones who are under potential arrest warrant. I don't know of them ever saying anything that would indicate approval of any of the charges they're being accused of. But so it could potentially lead to Hamas being exonerated of those accusations, or they could be exonerated of those accusations, or those accusations could be proven, in which case we all have to face that fact. And that may be a part of how Hamas will lose the popular support that they have in order to brush them aside and make way for a new leadership, which I think, as I've said from the beginning, the UAE and Saudi Arabia and BRICS generally would prefer it to be the Palestinian Authority. For one thing, the Palestinian Authority has legal recognition. And importantly, the Palestinian Authority has legal recognition in terms of their rights over the natural gas fields off the coast of Gaza. That has been actually given to the Palestinian Authority, that they have authority over those fields. Hamas has not. The Palestinian Authority is still regarded as the legal entity that is supposed to be the representative and the government of the Palestinian people. So I think that they want to move Hamas out and they want to move the Palestinian Authority in, with new leadership. They don't want it to be, they don't want any of, China was trying to create a reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas. But I think that's a reconciliation by necessity because of their existence, because of Hamas's existence. But if they can move them out of existence, everyone would prefer that.